Now this is an update build for the fastest leveling Huntress build in POE 2. With this build you can easily beat the Cruel campaign and quickly get to endgame. Now this build is a leveling build from level 45 to 64 to easily and quickly beat the Cruel campaign. I have another video for easily beating the normal campaign, so check that video out if you're leveling from level 1 to 45. Now this build is so strong that it can easily destroy groups of enemies and melt bosses in seconds. And you don't need to have any specific gear for this build, so I'm going to showcase the skills, gear, and passive skill tree to easily dominate the Cruel campaign. So I highly recommend you to watch this video from the beginning to the end to see how everything synergizes. So let's check this out. So first I'm going to show you destroying the final boss in the Cruel campaign, and as you can see I'm level 64, and you should be around level 64 when you get to the final boss of the Cruel campaign. This build can easily destroy groups of enemies and shred bosses. Now this build is a leveling build for defeating the Cruel campaign, and this build is very easy to make. Now our main source of damage comes from combining the skills Whirling Slash and Twister to unleash devastating AoE damage, and we can pair these skills with other skills to greatly increase its damage even more. And I'll go over the skill rotation in another section in this video. And this build does not require any specific gear for this build to work, as I was just upgrading my gear as I was going through the campaign. And this build includes skills that synergizes with each other, offering a lot of powerful combinations, but I'll cover everything in more details in their dedicated sections. And I'll have the full build layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. So next for the skills. Now I am using a lot of skills for this build, but I'm just going to highlight the important skills and support gems that is required for this build to do tons of damage. So the first skill I'm using is Whirling Slash, and this skill will create a whirlwind slowing and blinding enemies. And if whirlwind is on an elemental ground effect, the whirlwind will take the element's properties, and you're going to combine the skill with twisters to create more twisters. And for the support gems, I'm using Martial Tempo to increase the skill's attack speed so I can use whirlwind faster. I'm also using Magnified Effect to increase whirlwind's area effect. And lastly, I'm using Rage, and this support gem will grant you rage stacks when Whirling Slash hits an enemy, and Rage will increase your attack damage per rage stack. The next skill I'm using is Twister, and this skill will form a twister damaging and blinding enemies. And if Whirlwind passes over an elemental ground surface or consumes an elemental whirlwind, it will grant extra damage of that element. And for the support gems, I'm using Persistence, and this will increase the Twister's skill effect duration, so the twisters will be on the field a lot longer. I also paired it with Acceleration to increase the twister's projectile speed so it can hit more enemies. And lastly, I'm using Salvo, and this will grant your twister seals every 2 seconds, and when you fire the twisters it will consume the seal, and you will fire 2 additional twisters, but in return the twisters are fired in random directions. So this support gem will greatly increase the number of twisters on the field, allowing you to do tons of damage. The next skill I'm using is Barrage, and this will empower your next projectile spear attack to repeat 2 times, so you want to pair this skill with Twister to fire additional twisters. And for the support gems, I'm using Premeditation, and this will empower the supported skills damage. I'm also using Arcane Tempo, and this will increase the skill's cast speed, which will make you set up Barrage faster. And lastly, I'm using Ingenuity, and this skill will increase the skill's cooldown recovery rate, so you can use Barrage more often. The next skill I'm using is Frostbolt, and this skill will fire a slow moving frost orb that leaves a chilled ground. Now we're mainly using this skill to get the chilled ground effect, so our twisters do more damage, and you're not going to have enough intelligence for a high level skill gem. So ideally you want to use a skill gem for Frostbolt that is level 6 or lower, so you have enough intelligence. And for the support gems, I'm using Suffuse, and this skill will increase the area effect of the chilled ground surface for the skill. And I'm also using Despoiler, and this skill will increase the duration of the chilled ground surface created by the supported skill. The next skill I'm using is a passive skill, Wind Dancer, and this skill will increase your evasion rating. And I paired this skill with Precision, which will increase your accuracy rating. And increasing your accuracy rating is important for this build because of a node on our passive skill tree, the critical strike node, because the more accuracy rating we have, the higher our critical hit chance will be. I also paired this skill with Cannibalism, which will recover your life when you kill an enemy. The next skill I'm using is Tame Beast, and this skill will tame a rare beast, and you want to tame a beast that has the modifiers that will leave a elemental ground effect. So for my Tame Beast modifiers, I have periodically unleashes lightning and extra lightning damage. And for the support gems, I'm using Last Gasp, and this skill will allow your beast to live 4 seconds longer after its life is reduced to 0. And next I'm using Meat Shield, and this will make your beast take 35% less damage, but your beast will also do less damage. Now we don't really care about our beast damage because the beast is actually really good for taking aggro and tanking damage, and you want your beast to also create an elemental ground effect. The next skill I'm using is Disengage, and this will make you quickly attack and jump backwards. Now this skill is situational, and I mainly just use this skill to jump back to dodge enemies attacks, so this skill is really good for survivability or dodging enemies attacks. And the last skill I'm using is Rake, and this will dash you to an enemy performing a slash and inflicting bleed leading to all enemies struck. And this skill is just used for clearing low level areas if you're going back to some areas to finish up a quest, because our main source of damage is whirling slash combined with twister. For the support gems, I paired this with stomping ground, and this will create a shockwave when you use this skill, which does pretty good damage. And I also paired it with brutality, and this will increase the skill's damage. Okay, so that's all the main skills I'm using for this build to easily destroy the cruel campaign. And I'll go over the skill rotation in another section in this video to maximize your damage, and I'll have the full skill layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Okay, so next for the gear. Now, since this is a leveling build, you're going to be always switching out your gear for better gear. And all my pieces of gear I either found, bought from the merchant, or gambled with gold. But one piece of gear you do want to focus on is your weapon. And for the weapon, you're trying to get as much damage as possible, because the more damage you have on your weapon, the stronger your whirling slash and twisters will be. So having a high damage weapon is important to easily destroy groups of enemies and melt bosses in seconds. Now, I'm just going to highlight the rest of my gear, and you can see that all my gear isn't that great. But for your gear, you ideally want to get high evasion and all the elemental resistance. And on some of your pieces of gear, you do also want stats like strength, dexterity, and intelligence, because getting stats on your gear will allow you to equip better gear and equip higher level skill gems and support gems. And one important stat on your boot is movement speed, and you're trying to get at least 20 or 25%, because the more movement speed you have, it will be a lot easier to dodge enemies' attacks, because just be aware that some bosses can one-shot you, so you want to have high movement speed so you can dodge the boss's attacks. Okay, so I just quickly highlighted the gear I have, and as you can see, I have okay gear and not great gear. All my gear was either found, bought from the merchant, or gambled for gold. And if you check out my stats are not great, and I don't have good elemental resistance. So if you do get stuck on a boss, more than likely it's just your gear isn't good enough. So check out the merchant or gamble for better gear, and just be aware that some bosses can one-shot you. So you do also want to learn the boss's mechanics so you can dodge the boss's attacks. But I'll have an updated video on a endgame build when I get better gear going through the endgame, so stay tuned. Okay, so next for the passive skill tree. Now, I did make some adjustments for the passive skill tree from my previous video. I did refund some nodes and got critical hit chance and critical hit damage, because when you're at higher levels, you can actually reach those nodes. Now, I'm just going to quickly go over the passive skill tree, and I'm going to show you the path you want to take while you're leveling. So first, you want to head this way. And then head down and get these nodes. And you want to get these 3 nodes. That'll increase your attack damage and skill effect duration, so your twisters will be on the field a lot longer. Then head this way and you want to get these nodes. And these nodes will increase your projectile speed, so your twisters are faster so it can hit more enemies. Then come back up here and head this way. And you want to take these nodes that increases your projectile speed, attack speed, and accuracy rating. And accuracy rating is important because it'll increase your critical hit chance. And you want to head this way and get these nodes that increases your critical damage bonus. And then you want to get these nodes that increases your movement speed and evasion rating. Then head this way and you want to get these nodes, and these nodes will increase your attack damage. Then you want to head this way, but this one node is optional, which is Dance with Death, because this node will increase your skill speed, so you'll do whirling slash a lot faster, but in return you will lose your offhand. But depending on your defense and survivability, you may want to use your offhand, because your offhand will provide evasion and elemental resistance. But if you're really good at dodging attacks, then this node will help you clear areas a lot faster. Then you want to head this way and get these nodes that will increase your movement speed and skill speed. Then you want to take all these nodes here for your spear, and these nodes will increase your damage, attack speed, and critical damage bonus with spears. Then you want to take these nodes, which will increase your accuracy rating. And this node, Falcon Dive, will increase your attack speed based on your accuracy rating. Then you want to head up this way. And then you want to head left this way and take these nodes, which will increase your evasion rating and dexterity. And then you want to take these nodes on the right, which will increase your critical hit chance and critical damage bonus. Then you want to continue heading up this way, and then finally take these nodes, which will greatly increase your critical damage bonus. And in the future, when you level up, you want to head this way, and these nodes will increase your accuracy rating and critical hit chance. And when you're higher level, you want to head down this way and get these nodes down here, which will increase your accuracy rating and critical hit chance. And also take these nodes up here, which will increase your critical hit chance. And next for the Ascendancy, I chose the Amazon Ascendancy because the Amazon Ascendancies have nodes that will greatly increase your damage. So for the first 2 Ascendancy points, you want to get Critical Strike, which will greatly increase your critical hit chance based on your accuracy rating. Then for the next 2 Ascendancy points, you want to get Predatory Instinct, which will reveal weakness against rare and unique enemies. And what reveal weakness does is that the rare or unique enemies will have a highlighted part on their life bar, and you'll do 50% more damage against enemies when their life is on the highlighted part. And in the future, future, when I get more ascendancy points, I'm going to get penetrate, and this will greatly increase your physical damage based on your accuracy rating. And for the last 2 ascendancy points, I'm going to get in for the kill, which will increase your movement speed and skill speed when an enemy with an open weakness is in your presence. Okay, so that's the passive skill tree for this build as of right now. Now I just quickly went over the passive skill tree, going over the important nodes, and I'll have a fully optimized passive skill tree with my endgame build, but I'll have this full passive skill tree layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Okay, and next I'm going to go over the skill rotation for maximizing your damage with this build. So first, what you want to do is cast Frostbolt to create a chilled ground. Then you want to use Whirling Slash 3 times while standing on the chilled ground to fully charge the whirlwind. Then stay inside the whirlwind and cast Barrage to empower your next skill. And then you want to use Twister, which will unleash tons of twisters doing devastating damage. But one thing to note is that you can actually use Barrage whenever it's off cooldown, because Barrage will only take effect on your Twister, and the Barrage duration is pretty long, so you can actually use Barrage whenever it's off cooldown. Now some areas you don't need to do max damage, as just doing Whirling Slash and Twister does tons of damage itself. So when speed clearing areas, you can just use Whirling Slash 3 times and then Twister to destroy groups of enemies. Okay, so thanks for checking out this update build for the fastest leveling Huntress build in POE 2. With this build, you should easily beat the Cruel campaign and quickly get to endgame. Now, this build is a leveling build from level 45 to 64 to easily beat the Cruel campaign. And if you're leveling from level 1 to 45, I have another video you can check out to easily beat the normal campaign. And I'll have this full build layout in a POE 2 build planner in the description below. Hope this helps in more POE 2 videos to come, so stay tuned. And in the end,
there can be no salvation without sacrifice.